Hello, I'm Too Tight Lautrec. Welcome. Welcome. Welcome to my opening. Hello, I'm Too Tight Lautrec, and welcome to my opening, where I serve as your own personal shopper for literary fiction by reading the opening passages to books that I recommend for one reason or another. Today I'm all glittered up for you because I've been inspired by The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. Now, some of you may know I'm not one for getting on the wagon, even the bandwagon. But this is on the tubes or the screens somewhere in the world, although I have never seen it. But I know that it's out there. I've seen references to it, and I resisted and resisted and resisted because I thought, well, if it's on television, how good could it have been? But then again, it's Margaret Atwood, who has written novels and stories and poetry, and she's amazing, and I love her. So I thought, well, cripes, I might just as well break down and read it. And I did. And I'm bringing it to you fresh off the bed sheets because I don't know, this did something to me, which is why I'm dressed up in all my glittery glory, because it's 2018 in America, and who knows how much longer I'll be able to do it. Things happen so quickly around here. So I know very little about Margaret Atwood other than the fabulous things I've read of hers. She's Canadian. Do you need more than that? Look at Prime Minister Trudeau. I'm just saying. Good things come from up north. So, we're going to get right into it. I'm going to read the first chapter of The Handmaid's Tale. It's horrifying and beautiful in a way that I can't quite figure out, to tell you the truth. But I do know that it's horrifying. And I also know that it's beautiful. And one of the things that struck me most while I was reading it is just simply her ability with the physical world. Her ability to describe the physical world is amazing. And all it took was a chapter for me, and I hope the same occurs to you. The Handmaid's Tale, Chapter 1, Night. We slept in what had once been the gymnasium. The floor was of varnished wood, with stripes and circles painted on it for the games that were formerly played there. The hoops for the basketball nets were still in place, though the nets were gone. A balcony ran around the room for the spectators, and I thought I could smell, faintly, like an afterimage, the pungent scent of sweat, shot through with the sweet taint of chewing gum and perfume from the watching girls, felt-skirted as I knew from pictures, later in miniskirts, then pants, then, in one earring, spiky green-streaked hair. Dances would have been held here. The music lingered, a palimpsest of unheard sound, style upon style, an undercurrent of drums, a forlorn wail, garlands made of tissue paper flowers, cardboard devils, a revolving ball of mirrors, powdering the dancers with a snow of light. There was old sex in the room, and loneliness, and expectation, of something without a shape or name. I remember that yearning for something that was always about to happen, and was never the same as the hands that were on us there and then, in the small of the back, or out back in the parking lot, or in the television room with the sound turned down, and only the pictures flickering over lifting flesh. We yearned for the future. How did we learn it, that talent for insatiability? It was in the air, and it was still in the air, an afterthought as we tried to sleep in the army cots that had been set up in rows with spaces between so we could not talk. We had flannelette sheets like children's, and army-issue blankets, old ones that still said U.S. We folded our clothes neatly and laid them on the stools at the ends of the beds. The lights were turned down, but not out. Aunt Sarah and Aunt Elizabeth patrolled. They had electric cattle prods slung on thongs from their leather belts. No guns, though. Even they could not be trusted with guns. Guns were for the guards, specially picked from the angels. The guards weren't allowed inside the building except when called, and we weren't allowed out except for our walks, twice daily, 2 by 2 around the football field, which was enclosed now by a chain-link fence topped with barbed wire. The angels stood outside it with their backs to us. They were objects of fear to us, but of something else as well. If only they would look. If only we could talk to them. Something could be exchanged, we thought. Some deal made. Some trade-off. We still had our bodies. That was our fantasy. We learned to whisper almost without sound. In the semi-darkness, we could stretch out our arms when the ants weren't looking and touch each other's hands across space. We learned to lip-read, our heads flat on the beds, turned sideways, watching each other's mouths. In this way, we exchanged names from bed to bed. Alma, Janine, Dolores, Moira, June. Hie thee hither to a bookstore. Pick it up and read it. Don't depend on the television. Don't depend on other people to tell you about it. Experience it for yourself. And when you do, you'll understand the wonders that are in the world. If you're in an area where you are free to enjoy them, wonderful for you. And if you're not, if you are able to get your hands on this book, well, we feel for you. Meanwhile, if you're near a computer and you're watching this on YouTube, you can subscribe, you can like it, and you can share it if you dare. And if you don't dare, I understand. The world is full of wonder, even as small and circumscribed as your world might become. Whatever you have, pay attention to it. Until we meet again, I'm Too Tight-Lautrec.